Hey, this is William Baxter.
And I'm Paul Bell.
And this is the Retro Review Show, the countdown to the Force Awakens. And tonight we are going to talk about my favorite Star Wars film of all time, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, of course, released in another month of May, like most Star Wars films, except for this new one that's coming out, back in 1980, in its original theatrical release. It was also, the first theatrical version that you see the title Episode 5, the traditional titles. This was just, this was what it's supposed to be, was the second act of a play, of a third act play, and it was supposed to be darker, and it was supposed to leave questions. It wasn't supposed to answer on everything. And
it definitely accomplished that.
And this was just like a beautiful written Shakespearean play, or Greek mythology tragedy and everything. This is what Empire Strikes Back was, and this movie was a juggernaut back in 1980, and the only movie to dethrone it and everything, to knock it off the top spot, because it was #1 for a long time, was Friday the 13th, which we mentioned that in one of our first retro review shows. But, from the start and everything, you see the Star Destroyer, and, dropping these little droid probes and everything, and it hits the ice planet, and, that's how it starts. It starts very calm. It's like the calm before the storm. And it's the least seen Star Wars I have seen.
Right.
I have seen this movie less than all the other Star Wars movies.
Like televised or just
Just and everything. For some reason, it just it was one of those movies that I just didn't get to see all the time.
Right.
I guess it's one of the reasons why I enjoy watching it the most and everything. And it's universally regarded as the best Star Wars film. It was directed by Erwin Kershner, who was one of George Lucas's teachers from UFC Film School. I don't think I said it right. I can't remember what the damn film school was. UFC.
They had cameras.
UCA or something like that. I can't remember. Look it up, folks.
Google.
I'll eventually sometime during the process of this video remember. But UCLA. There you go.
There you go.
UCLA. Hey.
Yeah.
It was just. Kirsch was one of those guys that did low-budget films. One of his movies before this was a John Carpenter written movie called The Eyes of Laura Marr that starred Faye Dunaway. And this is something that was new to Kirsch and everything. He didn't want to take it originally.
Yeah.
Because, this was a big... everything could have gone wrong when it came to Star Wars. Episode 5.
Well, everybody knows about the sequel rule. If the sequel sucks, it brings down the whole thing.
Yeah. And this movie proved that wrong.
Yeah.
This movie not only exceeded expectation, it superseded expectations. And it was just, a juggernaut.
Yeah.
So, just a juggernaut.
Yeah.
And just the opening and everything, you see Luke on his tauntaun and everything, and he's walking, he's sitting on top of this tauntaun, this animal, and what is this ice planet called Hoth.
Yeah.
And just he's watching an asteroid fall into the ground and everything, which ends up being a probe droid and everything. And just he talks to Han and everything. Han's like, well, I'm going to go back and everything. I don't see anything, can't find anything. So Luke's like, left there by himself, and then this tauntaun starts freaking out and everything, and then this ice creature comes to jump out of nowhere, kind of like a rapid Bigfoot.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and knocks Luke in. Oh! What the hell was that?
I have no idea.
What happened to your hat?
I don't know. My shirt's different.
Oh! Darth Maul.
I blame him.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Anyway, as we were saying, the Wampa got Luke and knocked him out. So, of course, you go back to Hoth base and everything, and Han Solo comes back and everything, and he walks into the command center and everything, sees Leia and everything. Obviously, there's some still tension between the both of
Oh
them.
yeah. That's something that's gonna stick around for a while.
Yeah.
You know?
And but yet, he's like telling General that he has to leave, and because they bumped into the bounty hunter, Old Man Dro.
Yeah.
Which I think has to have been Boba Fett or something. I think I think that had to do with the connection to the Star Wars animated thing, segment from the holiday special. So, but you can see the tension that Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
It worked well and everything. They were able to it made you think they must really hate each other in real life or something.
Yeah. Well, they say love and hate is just this far apart.
Yeah.
Just thin line.
And Han's like up front, it's like, I know you love me and everything, just get over it, But I just it seemed very claustrophobic in the beginning because they're in ice caves.
Yeah, it got that feeling. I mean, just as much as was going on in and around them, just the fact that it heated up in her room and started to melt the place, I thought that was just a shot at innuendo. When I first heard about that, I thought, yeah, I bet it's heating up in that room. I'll tell you what, buddy.
But of course, when the Empire is up in space throwing the stuff and everything, and then again, the general, the admiral and everything, he come, when they finally figure out, this is it, Vader's like, that is it. The rebels are there, and he's obsessed with finding Luke. So they all set out to head for Hoth and everything, and they come to find out, they find Luke, and he had been just moments, from death and everything after seeing Obi-Wan's ghost.
Yeah.
And then, he's in that little medic chamber and everything where he's being,
cold tub tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gets, comes to and everything, and, everybody's, in his little operating room, or his little hospital room, recuperating and everything, and everybody comes in, and next thing you know, Han and Leia's arguing and everything, as usual, and everything, and she goes, well, I guess you don't know everything about women. And she kisses Luke.
Yeah.
And of course, you find out later events and everything that this becomes the most talked about and discussed and over-examined moment in the Star Wars universe.
Well, of course it's over-examined. I mean, you come to find out that, Luke is her brother, they're twins, but it's still odd. You hear that and you just take that moment and go, God, that's just...
I mean, I'm sure Lucas, had some premonition that this he's going to turn around and make it...
there's always that one person that references, I was out with this chick last night, but I'm just not into her. It was like kissing my sister, which I can't hear that without going immediately to Star Wars. So wouldn't you have known, man? But
at least Marty McFly's mom knew.
It's true. Yeah. So, oh my God, Marty McFly's smarter than Luke Skywalker. That's some shit.
Yeah. So the Empire finally makes it to Hoth and everything, and in the coolest way I've ever seen, coolest death scene out of Star Wars and everything. The Admiral told us, we're all positioned, because the Admiral, came out of light speed too close to the system and everything. So, and while he's talking to him, as I said before, that cool death scene, he's like force choking him and still carrying on a conversation with Admiral Piet, now the Admiral Piet and everything.
It's one of those situations that really helped you understand just the power, the threateningness of Vader.
Yeah.
That he's just carrying on an everyday conversation. This guy's dying over here, just, yes, okay, that was sooner than I thought. I'm going to play it off like that didn't just happen behind me, but it was just a really, really cool scene.
And the battle scenes on Hoth, the battle for Hoth and everything, with the Imperial walkers and the chicken walkers and...
the AT-ATs?
And the snow speeders, which, we got right here. And it's just... It was one of the cool battles. As I said, this is the least seen Star Wars that I have seen. I've seen it less than the other ones. But I absolutely love Empire Strikes Back, and that is one of the high points was that battle on Hoth and everything. So, I mean...
It was classic in, the Star Wars movies. They did the same thing in New Hope. They gave you this really rich scene, head towards the head of the movie, the beginning of the movie, and then it just built that climax
Yeah.
right up to the end.
I mean, in episode 4, you get an aerial space dogfight.
Yeah.
In episode 5, you get the ground warfare, and then in episode 6, you get both.
Yeah.
And I think that was just, and a lightsaber to top it off.
It wouldn't be Star Wars without a lightsaber.
Yeah.
If I ever saw Vader, sit down with Luke, so we're gonna discuss this like adults. I'm your father, I may not have been there, but let's rule the galaxy. Come on. Yeah, not Star Wars, Jerry Springer. Right there, just Jerry Springer. Yeah.
But as you said, and I just, it was revolutionary when it comes to those special effects for Empire.
Oh yeah.
And you can tell that most of the money, they had more money.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure.
Well, after New Hope, if they wouldn't have got a bigger budget, I'd have walked.
I mean, well, Lucas financed this, his whole, through himself, so he can stay independent and everything. So, but again, if this, of course the rebels are forced to flee.
Yeah.
Han Solo gets Princess Leia out of there with the Millennium Falcon, just barely, because the Millennium Falcon is basically, falling apart. And, they get chased off by, the Empire. And, it's just, and again, the space, the aerial fight, or the fleeing away of the Millennium Falcon being chased by the Star Destroyers, kind of is what, it should have been in the first Star Wars. When he says, I got a few maneuvers, I know some. And of course, it's just the ship just sending off in a weird, just floating away, and there was no, you got to see the Millennium Falcon in its full glory.
Barrel roll or nothing, he just kind of went to the left a little bit.
Yeah. I remember in the Family Guy and everything, he's like, is that all you got? Is that the only one?
Oh, no, I believe the line was something like, oh no, I lost him. Oh wait, there he is, he's listing lazily to the left. Yeah.
So,
you gotta be a badass pilot to pull that off.
Yeah.
I'm being shot at, so what do you think of that? Keep it up, I'll go right.
But as I said, you got to see the Millennium Falcon and its greatness and everything because of the better special effects and everything. You got to see it do the twists and the turns and the flips and stuff. It was great.
Yeah.
Of course, this being chased in the asteroid field, another great scene. That is the music and everything went so well with that scene, and I just absolutely loved it. And it foreshadowed, of course, the Obi-Wan scene with Jango.
I think they might have been making a direct reference to that, just kind of reinventing it almost to give, veteran fans just a reminder, if you will,
But then, of course, they get to Luke, they get to hide in the cave.
Yeah.
Luke finally makes his way to Dagobah, where he crash lands into a swamp, and he meets Yoda.
Yeah.
Of course, we got so much speculation on what this creature was and everything. And
well, you take first look at Yoda, and by the way, kids, it was not the Yoda that y'all are used to, alright? He wasn't doing flips and stuff, no. He seemed like this annoying little gremlin whose only mission in life was to aggravate Luke.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was comical.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really cool, and then just to find out that he was Master Yoda.
Yeah.
I mean, even Luke had disbelief at that, just
because of his size.
You're Master Yoda.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, he stops being funny and everything. But yet still, the work of Frank Oz and his puppeteers on this and everything was so incredible. The timing that it took to bring Yoda to life and everything. Frank Oz, who everybody knows is the voice of Miss Piggy and also the
that's gotta be odd.
Yeah, and a few other popular Muppets over the years, but he gave his character so much life and everything. And of course he had his technicians, that do the eyes and the ears and stuff like that. That's a lot of timing. That's teamwork that you had to put together.
It's not what nowadays it's animatronics. Well, nowadays more CGI than animatronics. I mean, but this was a group of people literally working to get that down. This wasn't just some computer program that was tweaked.
Oh yeah.
Now they're doing the digitally remastered Star Wars and stuff like that, so you don't get to really see the 70s Yoda,
Yeah.
which is a shame because I know
Well,
my
you know,
nephew loves it.
well, I mean, that's one thing they did not touch on when it comes to 5 and 6.
Right.
They did not special edition Yoda. They didn't CGI him and everything, because that was just about as, you know, as George Lucas said,
Yeah.
that's about as brilliant a puppetry that they will ever
Oh,
get.
yeah.
And he can't master that, and he can do it, but why? You know, there is just it may not match. Who cares? You know,
Yeah.
I'm like that's you know maybe the Jabba the Hutt. You know, I'd probably say you know digitize them, but it'd probably be too hard. But
That's a lot of worm.
yeah,
It's a lot of worm.
but I would just think you know that the puppetry of Yoda and everything, just it was such a handy craftsmanship of art and performance and everything. And I really think that, you know, even though Frank Oz wasn't the only person pulling the strings, you know, it's a performance that the Academy, I thought, should have not have overlooked and everything, and somehow gave a special recognition
Yeah.
to the advancements of, you know, of puppeteering altogether. So, but again, let's get back to, you know, Han and them had been in the cave, and then, you know, of course you finally figure out that they're not in a cave, they're in a
Yeah.
space worm or something, and they fly off to, you know,
They
back,
never addressed what that
Yeah.
was.
you know, and they go back into the, into space and everything, to the astral field.
Yeah.
And the, of course, the death, you know, they're there at the Star Destroyers and everything, and he attaches himself to one of the ships and everything. And they decide, well, you know, we're going to figure out what system to go to and everything, so they look at nearby systems and everything, and Bespin,
Yeah.
which is where Cloud City is located. They decide they're going to go to that. So they decide, you know, after they detach themselves, they pretend, because Imperials, they're dumping their trash and everything, so they decide to float with the trash. And then all of a sudden you see this ship float around, and then it turns itself on, and it's Boba Fett, which is his, you know, his live action first appearance in the Star Wars saga. And I hope he makes some type of appearance back in these new movies. It would just be great.
I would hope so. I
But,
mean, it's the only Mandalorian you see, and,
Yeah.
you know, that's...
And this is my second favorite ship, next to the Millennium Falcon and everything. And Boba Fett, again, I'll say again, he's my favorite character out of the entire Star Wars saga. And
I prefer Django because he's the original badass.
yeah,
You know?
but and so you know, you finally get to Cloud City, and Han and Leia are greeted by, you know, Lando. And of course, Lando's a Colt 40, played by Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Billy
Yeah,
D.
Colt 45 drinking mother. And
With a Jerry curl. That's how you knew he was cool. He had a Jerry curl, all right? That was just enough said. That's
Yeah.
like a mullet in the South. Just this guy knows how to party. That's what it is.
but yeah, as he said, he's playing, you know, that basically playing the part of a pimp.
Pretty much, you know, smooth talking, just
Yeah.
you know, almost a velveteen voice to
Yeah.
it. Just yeah, I run Cloud City. You know, this is my world here.
And he looks at Leia, he's like,
Yeah,
"Hello, what do we got here?" And she seems charmed.
yeah.
You know, she seems a little charmed.
Well, you know, she might have just been kind of struck that's the only black guy in the universe. You know, kind of like, oh my God, it's like a unicorn. Look at that. You know, she's already traveling with, you know, Chewbacca, a basic Bigfoot kind of
Yeah.
deal, you know. Finds a black guy who's in charge in that universe. You know?
But he, I think it was a moment where, you know, you're like, you can tell this guy's got some crookedness to him.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, he gave you very much the Han Solo kind of feel when you
Yeah.
first run into him. You know, smooth talker. I mean, it's almost reminiscent of going back to the cantina scene with Han sitting there, just like it's nothing. Just you know, I got a fast ship and a quick trigger finger too. Yeah, I'll get you where you're going. Except for Billy D was set up with a whole, you know, city, and
Yeah.
he's kind of like, yeah, I'm where you want to be. Yeah. Got my man Android over here. My man Android, you know. Yeah. I'm where you want to be. You know, it was, he just had this kind of smooth scoundrel kind
Yeah.
of demeanor to him that just, it was hard to, you know, hard to hate him.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, later in the movie he does double cross his friends.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people had a lot of hard feelings about that.
Yeah. And you know, and the funny thing is, first thing that gets it and everything is C-3PO.
Yeah.
You know, he gets blown apart, and you're thinking, wow, they're going for the jugular here and everything. They're going to kill off C-3PO.
Very true.
And of course, you know, you get Chewbacca finds him and everything. You know, he's trying to put them back together, and then all of a sudden, Han Solo and Leia and them, they're all invited to dinner.
Yeah.
You know, and Lando and them were walking around. And you see Chewbacca, he's kind of looking around. He senses something's up, but he's not sure. And all of a sudden, he's like, Lando's like, I just made a deal that's going to keep the Empire out here forever. And he opens the door, and Vader stands up, and he's at the dinner table.
Yeah. At the head of the table,
Yeah.
no less, you know. It goes to show you who the real pimp in Star Wars was, you know, Sir James Earl Jones voicing Darth Vader. That's the real pimp in the Star Wars universe. Just the way he stands up, you know, yeah. My house now. You know? But one of the coolest things I liked about that particular scene was the fact that Han drew down on Vader.
Yeah.
And it was the first case in which you see somebody deflecting, you know, blaster bolts.
Yeah.
And with his hand, no less.
Oh, yeah.
Just didn't go for the saber at all, you know. I think every other Star Wars movie, it's been lightsabers all the way,
Yeah.
deflecting the bolts. But Vader, you know, just so in tune with being so powerful, just,
Yeah.
that was just an awesome part to me. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, when do I get to learn to do this? You know?
It's a good thing you never did, because you walk around with a big scar on your hand.
No, hell. I figure I'd be that guy that would learn to do it and then, you know, go into hostage negotiation situations, you know. Mind you, not on the police side. That would have just been too easy. If I'm gonna
International.
Yeah, if I'm going to deflect bullets, I want to deflect multiple, you know, automatic weapons fired.
You want to Neo it, don't you?
No. I don't have the back for that. No.
But anyway, you know, they're captured.
Yeah.
And Luke's still on Dagobah being trained. And then you see him doing flips, climbing the vines and stuff like that.
Montage almost,
Yeah.
you know.
And then he starts, you know, at one point and everything, he starts sensing, you know, his friends are in trouble. So he sees the future. So basically and then you see Vader torturing Han Solo.
Yeah.
And then you feel out, you're figuring out, oh, he's hurting them on purpose so Luke can sense this.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Vader he's a Sith Lord, he knows this.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, he was a Jedi. He definitely, especially in the prequels when he sensed his mother's pain, I think that was just him drawing upon experience.
Yes.
Which I think once you see the prequels after seeing the original trilogy, you can kind of make that connection to where it's almost Vader trying to walk Luke into his steps as, you know, as he was becoming a Jedi.
Yeah. But also then there was the the scene where Obi-Wan shows up when Luke's ready to leave and everything. Obi-Wan's like, you know, telling you, Luke, I don't want to lose you the way I lost Vader to the Emperor.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to talk him to say and everything. It's like, I will return, I promise. And then when he lifts off and everything, Yoda says, told you I did. Reckless as he. And then Obi-Wan says, that boy's our last hope. And then Yoda looks up and goes, no, there is another. Then it makes you think, another what? Are you kidding me? Is there going to be, there's another...
I don't know. I was like half hoping Billy Dee would whip out a lightsaber, you know, just, that's right, I know the Force.
But it was just, as I said, this movie gave you more questions than answers. And that's everything that a second act of a third act play is supposed to do. And Empire Strikes Back did it in spades. Of course, you know, Luke gets to Bespin and everything, not in the nick of time, because during that time, Boba Fett's there, and Han Solo's going to hand him over to Boba Fett to take the Jabba the Hutt, and then Jabba the Hutt's going to do whatever he needs to do. But then what they decided to do is that they're going to put him in carbonite, basically freeze him. And so they decided, because this is what they wanted to do to Skywalker, you know, to Luke and everything, so to make it easier for him to present him to the Emperor. And then all of a sudden, you know, you see Han Solo standing there in the middle of the carbonite chamber, and he's ready to go down, and then, Leia's, after kissing him and everything, she yells out, "I love you."
Yeah.
And, Han Solo just throws out that best line. What was that line?
Yeah, I know.
There you go.
That's where he
like a
showed
pin.
you where Billy D should have just stepped up.
Yeah.
In the face of possible death, not even a "I love you," not a tear, none of that crap. Just, yeah. He went down there just thinking, yes.
I mean, as I said, Irvin Kersh, him and the original line was supposed to be "I love you too." But
Yeah.
Irvin Kersh, who directed Empire Strikes Back, him and Han Solo knew that this was just a waste of a character, it was just a waste of a line. This is something that you couldn't do. So they were like, "Don't plan anything. We just have, just do another take and action." And then he threw that line, "I know," and Irvin Kersh is like, perfect. That's absolutely perfect. But it was just so. I mean, just to see Han Solo, you're thinking,
Oh, yeah.
okay, this don't look good. I mean, he's frozen. I mean, is he going to die? You don't know. And all of a sudden, Lando, after he's been brought down, you see him frozen in this block and everything. Lando's fidgeting with the side of the thing. It's like he's in perfect hibernation. And then he thinking that, Leia and the Wookiee's going to, Chewbacca's going to stay there. But then Vader changes his mind, and then all of a sudden, Lando's like, okay, this deal's deal's not the way it's supposed to be. They're going back on their word. They were promising that none of my friends would be hurt, but they were doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So it was you start realizing, okay, he's going to make the change.
Yeah.
And so, of course, when they're all being escorted around to Vader's ship, you see, Lando tapping something on like a wristband and everything that's activating Lobot. And then,
Android.
and then all of a sudden, later on, before Skywalker, his move's already landed and everything, and he sees Leia and everything. Leia's like yelling out, "It's a trap, it's a trap," and of course it is a trap. Luke foolishly still goes, follows them into the room that she's told them that if you walk in here, it's a trap. He still goes in there.
I think it was just one of those cases where, I don't know, did she say trap? Or what did she say? Maybe I'll go ask the guy in this next room, Oh, trap. I thought she said trap.
Oddly enough, the guy who grabs Leia and pulls her into that room and everything, that Imperial officer, is actually the guy who played Boba Fett in the costume and everything.
Yeah.
So if you look real close and everything, you'll see what Boba Fett, the guy who plays Boba Fett, looks like. But we don't know what Boba Fett really looks like.
Yeah.
Just to make that clear, we know what Boba Fett looks like. He's a clone.
Yeah.
But then of course you get in that scene at the time. Luke gets in there, and he's in the carbonite chamber, and all of a sudden he's looking around, and says, and then he hears Vader's breathing, and he turns around and says, "You've learned much, young Skywalker, but you're not a Jedi yet." And
you gotta wonder, did Vader have a mute setting on that at some point? He's not sneaking up on nobody.
yeah,
I figure at some point he's gotta be able to mute that or something.
yeah,
I'm sure as hell hope he doesn't hold his breath. That would just be awkward.
yeah. It'd be really interesting to hear Darth Vader burp. What?
Probably sound like a robotic fart.
That probably sound awesome.
Sounds like much of the rap music nowadays. With that voice changer crap.
Yeah.
There's
A lot of that hip hop dance stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, of course, you see Vader's silhouette up on top of this type of platform and everything. It's just the coolest look and everything. You just see the light up of his chest plate and everything, and all of a sudden you see Luke walking up there, and he does this kind of weird stance, like kind of like
It's
like
almost a
superhero
classic
pose.
dad stance, like, you're about to get a whooping.
Yeah.
This is what's gonna happen.
And Vader's just standing there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, then Luke just brings the lightsaber out, and then just very casually, Vader's lightsaber just comes right up and everything. He's like, "All right, bring it, boy."
It was almost that dad taking off his belt motion too, just that. this is gonna hurt me a lot more than it's gonna hurt you. I was actually waiting for that line.
But it was great though.
Oh,
It's a much better lightsaber duel in Empire, and different than from because you have a guy who's basically in a robot suit that's half man, half machine, and then you have an old guy from Episode 4. But in this one, you have a much younger guy who's not a fully trained Jedi. He's not the greatest swordsman yet, but him and Vader just going at it and everything. And at that same time, Lando's people are saving Leia and Chewie and everything. And then, so you got all this going on at the same time, and you got the escape, and you got Luke confronting Vader. So finally, C-3PO, he's all so broken apart and everything, being carried around in a cargo net.
Yeah, basically baby style.
Yeah. And they're walking around, trying to find a way out, trying to stop Boba Fett and everything from fleeing away. So, and of course they don't get there at the nick of time. Boba Fett's flown off and everything, and then of course they bump into R2-D2 at the same time while they're trying to get to Boba Fett, and it's just it's like all these last minute, you miss them just in the last minute type of scenarios and everything.
Day late, dollar short.
Yeah. And then you cut back to Vader and Luke, and they're just all over the place, just they're like all over Cloud City fighting. And they finally, Vader starts, using the Force and everything. He starts throwing objects at Luke and everything, and then busts open a window. Luke falls out, and then Luke, climbs back onto a beam and everything. And he finds himself at an observation deck. And then Vader's there, and they're going off and fighting, and they're fighting closer and closer towards the end of that little scaffolding area and everything that has no one really explained what it was like.
I have no idea.
I'm assuming it was like in the center of Cloud City's structure.
I'd assume something like that. Yeah.
And then Luke's like hanging on by a thread by a pole and everything, and he gets his hand cut off. Yeah, it's like totally out of unexpected and everything that he gets his right hand cut off and everything. And then all of a sudden, Vader starts saying, Luke, you don't know yet your potential.
Yeah.
Come with me and I will complete your training. And, he's like, I'll never join you. And he's like, Obi-Wan's never told you about your father.
Yeah.
And of course, he's like, he's told me enough. He said you killed him. And the best, most quoted Star Wars line was given. And of course, originally it was supposed to be, on the set and everything, it was said, Obi-Wan killed your father. Nobody really knew. Nobody knew this. Yeah. Not until, they were told at the moment that this was going to be filmed, who Darth Vader's, relationship with Luke was and everything. And what was it? What was that line?
I believe the line was, I am your father.
And I remember hearing this in the theater at the old Crystal River Theater, which is now in Bandy Gas Station across from the Publix in Crystal River. I remember sitting in the front row, and I remember, as clear as yesterday, hearing somebody in the background going, "Are you effing kidding me? What the hell?" And people started snickering and everything, but they were shocked.
Yeah.
Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. He's just admitted that I am your father, and Luke is like, "No, that's impossible." And he's like, "No."
Yeah.
It was like the biggest, it was like Bouchon JR type of TV.
That was a shocker. It definitely sticks with anybody who got to see it in theaters. I grew up watching it on VHS. I remember seeing that and thinking, no freaking way.
Yeah.
It was M. Night Shyamalan couldn't have predicted that term. That twist just out of the blue.
And that's another great twist, dude. Sixth Sense. I won't get in the future episodes. We're definitely going to get into that movie. It's because it's the only good movie rather than Unbreakable that he's done. Yeah. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Anyway.
We forgive Mel Gibson for Signs.
Yeah, no, I don't.
He didn't have that much of a part of it. Why don't we get the Mel Gibson that cusses at cops, more often in movies?
But, so we get back, Luke's, realized what's going on, and he decides, well, I'm just he drops.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure he had some type of plan that he'd probably get sucked by these little tubes down there, I don't know. But he drops down there and he falls into this other tube, and it drops him on this, antenna that's down at the bottom of Cloud City, and he, dear life that he can and everything. And then, you know, he's like finally trying to communicate with Leia. And then Leia and they're already on the Millennium Falcon and everything, and they're flying around on Bespin, and then all of a sudden she's starting to sense Luke. She's like, we've got to go back. And they're like, huh? And he's like, we have to go back. So, you know, they decide to turn the ship around. And they, you know, head back to underneath there, and you know, they see that Luke's underneath there, and Lando goes and opens up the top hatch and everything, and you know, brings Luke inside. And all of a sudden, you know, they're back into space and everything. They're trying to flee from the Imperials, and then Vader's already on his his Star Destroyer, and he's looking out into on the command bridge and everything. He's looking out there, you know, telepathically communicating with Luke while Luke is, you know, trying to, you know, lick his wounds, and you know, so everybody's trying to get the ship back together, and Luke is like talking back and forth, and he's like, why didn't you tell me, Ben, why didn't you tell me? And then all of a sudden he like walks into the cockpit and everything while everybody's trying to, you know, still trying to maneuver around and everything, you know, trying to get, because the hyperdrive again is broken on the Millennium Falcon. And all of a sudden, you know, Vader's, you know, being approached by by the captain, and like, you know, he's like, are you sure that the hyperdrive has been deactivated? Yes, sir. Made sure my men did it myself. It's good. Get ready for the tractor beam. And as soon as, you know, it's getting ready to happen and everything, all of a sudden R2's leaving C-3PO, who's still missing a leg and everything. He's like, you're not done with me. You're having delusions of grandeur. I'm here in pieces. And, you know, all of a sudden R2's like, you don't know how to fix the hyperdrive. And all of a sudden, you know, R2 just puts his one of his little hands inside there, and you see a light lighting up and everything, and everybody's backing up. He's like, you did it! And R2 falls into the little pit that Chewbacca's in, and they disappear. And then one of the other scenes that is cool about this movie is Captain or Admiral Piet and everything has this fear of, oh, yeah. He's like, and all of a sudden Vader just, you know, kind of looks back at the, you know, out in the stars and everything, and just kind of casually walks away and everything, and then Admiral Piet's kind of looking over like, whew, you know, because, you know, he didn't know if Vader's going to kill his ass or not.
Yeah.
So everything, you know, everybody's gotten away. You go back and they go to the Rebel.
Yeah, their medical center.
Yeah, they go to the whole
Yeah.
Rebel Alliance fleet, and you know, you see Luke getting his new hand attached to his arm and everything. And all of a sudden, you know, he's talking to Lando, who's on the Millennium Falcon with Chewbacca, and they're ready to go to Tatooine to find Han, who by now is with Jabba the Hutt. So, you know, you got this whole wonderful setup for a third movie. You know, this is.
It was a hype builder is what it was, you know, just, they gave you enough action to keep you coming back, and at the same time, they left enough questions, you had to come back for Return of the Jedi. You just had to.
I mean, and just to see.
I mean, they can't say, you know, Darth Vader's Luke's father and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to miss that last movie.
I mean, and just to see them, you know, just Luke, Leia, and the droids just staring out of that window and watching the Millennium Falcon just fly off into, you know, into space and everything, you know, they're just, you know, they got this look of defeat, but yet Luke puts his arms around Leia, like, looking at her like, you know, there's still hope. I mean, because they are the new hope, the both of them. And it just, you know, the ship starts flying away, you know, just starts turning off and everything, you see the rest of the ships, and then it just ends.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, you know, it wasn't a true ending, it was, you know,
it was very anticlimactic.
Yes, but it had a completeness to it, though. Of, you know, we've been defeated, but we're licking our wounds, and we're going to, you know, regroup ourselves.
It's what made the title of the movie just really nail on the head kind of deal. You know, you got the feeling that Empire didn't strike back. They gave them that good hit, and you know, you just knew they had to come back for another movie.
Yeah, and I said this. It's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And it's one of my, it's the one I remember the most. You know, even though I've seen it the least, I remember it the most. I remember seeing it in the theater when it first came out. I can remember my dad, he knew a few projectionists and everything in the county where, you know, he did some part-time work. Because my dad used to work as a projectionist up in Tennessee, and he was part of that union that built sets and worked on cameras and everything, which I guess explains the reason why
There you go.
my brother and I were doing what we were doing. But
Genetic disposition.
yeah. But you know, I can just remember, you know, my dad coming down, you know, giving me, you know, it was a limited edition poster that, you know, that I think you only can get at the theaters or something. I couldn't remember exactly how the deal was then, but it was just so much fun watching this movie. I can watch it again and again. I should be watching it again and again, but I have to highly recommend this movie.
Oh yeah.
It is one of the best. It is the best. I mean, some people, you know, saying this may be that the new movie may be better than Empire Strikes Back.
I don't know.
I mean,
it's hard to top the original trilogy. I mean, the prequels couldn't do it.
Yeah.
They had their, you know, they had their good scenes. They were good for the generation that they were released for.
Yeah.
But it's still hard to beat the original trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, it's just.
So, real quickly and everything, we're going to go to one little interview that I did for someone's memories of Star Wars and their favorite part of Star Wars. So, we'll go ahead and go to this, and we'll meet you right back after that.
My earliest memories of Star Wars is being sitting in front of the TV on like just a regular old weekend, and my brother would come in and he'd be like, "Look what I got from my friends some days," because we got the trilogy VHS of the new, like the Old Hope, the new Old Hope.
Yeah.
Messed up. Yeah, the Old Hope, and he'd be like, "Do you know what Star Wars is?" I was like, "No," and I was like, I was always into cartoons, so he was like, "If you like cartoons, then I'm sure you'll like these." It's kind of like superheroes, just like in a different way. So like, okay, so I took a shot at it. I was a skeptic at first because I really didn't understand what was going on, me being at such a young age. But like my memories consist of like the chase of Endor and like the Death Star and Sidious and the classic Vader. You know, my favorite moments of Star Wars is in the prequels. Ironically enough, when Obi-Wan, he's always been my favorite, and my favorite of all time scene is when him and Anakin went at it, and I teared up. It was funny. Whenever he's like, "You're my brother," and I was like, "No," but yeah, Star Wars overall is like one of the best things that have ever happened to the film industry, and I really enjoy it, and everyone else will, especially with this new movie coming up. I'm sure it's gonna live up to the hype, and seeing Han Solo and Layla, it's gonna be fantastic. But in closing, I'd say if you're a fan of any of the movies and any spotlight of it, I recommend it to anybody.
Hi, my favorite Star Wars moment is Episode 1, the Hathian Menace. And my favorite moment was when Jar Jar Binks was attacking the droidicas, and while he's riding on the tank, and he was just destroying it. And his part where he surrenders, but he never really gave up. The first time I ever watched Star Wars was with my father, and it was a long time ago, I guess. And the effects, to me, it was amazing. Like when they use the special effects, and the first one when they start actually using animation good comparisons with the other movies, and all the graphics with it under the water, and when it first shown, I was completely blown my mind. And that's for Star Wars.
Okay, well, one more time, we're going to give a shout out to Tom at Brooding Tom. I have to say that this was a real good honor that he let us borrow this. It's Brooding Tom at youtube.com. He made this by hand and everything. Yeah. So, and as again, we've been praising nothing about this. This has been some great work.
Well, you can see how good the likeness is. I mean, this is, that's a really good likeness right there. So, I know I sure as hell couldn't do it.
Yeah, and same here.
Yeah.
So, but again, appreciate you for watching. Be sure to tune in to our last episode, which will be about Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and we're also going to have footage from the Star Wars parade that the Christopher River community had. It's about a week now from what we're doing on this date. So. But it was really interesting. It's really interesting to see how some people, will handcraft some things and everything and make the floats and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty cool parade, and it was
Just goes to show you the impact Star Wars had.
exactly. I mean, I never
It
think
affected a
about
small
that.
town.
I mean, they didn't do anything like that for the trilogy,
Yeah.
the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
So, but again, I just I wanted to thank you all for watching. Thank you for watching our other episodes and everything. I'm satisfied with the numbers and everything. I'm not looking to, make history with this stuff and everything. I just, I just enjoy talking about Star Wars and everything. I'm glad I have a great friend that I'm sitting here talking about it.
No problem. No
And
problem.
I was going to do this in the last episode, but if not our review show. But Paul, I'm going to say that Merry Christmas.
Cool. Now if I can keep the kids' hands off it, hell yeah.
But I just, you've had a rough year,
Ugh.
as we both had, and but you've had a rougher
Had a
one.
rough year.
But you've had a rougher one and everything. You lost your father on Father's Day.
Yeah.
And you've been a great friend. You've helped me on this channel so much.
Oh, it's no problem.
And I
Something
really
I enjoy doing, dude.
And I
Something
really,
enjoy
really,
doing.
my wife helped me put this channel together. She
Yeah.
helped me at the beginning, and you came along, and you're like, no problem, and I don't want to, I don't mind
No
doing it.
problem. Don't mind doing it. dude.
And-
Don't
but-
mind.
And I couldn't think of anything else but a great Christmas present to give to you.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
this right here? Again, thank you, Tom, for
Thank you.
loaning this to us, and again.
You'll be lucky I
Thank
don't
you.
put that on my car as a hood holder.
But again, folks, be sure to check out episode 6, Return of the Jedi, from the Retro Review Show.
Oh yeah.
Again, I'm William Baxter.
And I'm Paul Bell.
And also, don't forget, we will be doing some more stuff next week for Force Awakens. We'll get into more of that on the next episode.
Oh yeah.
Until then, see you later.